Hello and welcome to another Pickups and Christmas loot video for 2021, the last day in 2021. I have a handful of things here that I got for myself and definitely some things that were gifted to me. So let's get started. First thing, I guess, I don't know if I showed off this shirt at all. This is from my favorite band, Ministry's new album, Moral Hygiene. I don't remember exactly when it came out. It was like a couple months ago. And it's really good. So, I definitely recommend that. I forget if I mentioned, they ended up sending me their CD for free, actually. They have bundles with like the shirt and the CD, and I just bought the shirt. I pre-ordered it, and they ended up sending me the CD mistakenly, right? So thank you very much. I guess that technically was a gift, and it's really good. So I shop their merch store pretty frequently now, so I don't feel too guilty about it. Yeah, so a couple things I picked up for myself here. Just a couple Blu-rays. I got Deadpool 2, the Super Duper cut. I have not seen this yet. I've seen Deadpool 2, I just haven't seen this cut of it. You guys might have seen I got Deadpool 1 in a previous pickups video, so I wanted to get this one to finish that out. I really enjoy the Deadpool movies. I think, defying all odds, they're amazing. And next up, I got Waxwork and Waxwork 2. You guys may know that I'm, trying to avoid horror things for the most part, but I just have such fond memories of this first movie, Waxwork. It's from 1988. It stars Zach Galligan, who I believe was in Gremlins. You may be familiar with him. And I just really love this movie for whatever reason. I want to call it sort of like a B movie, but I mean, it's a horror movie from the 80s. Like, the special effects seem pretty cool, like the costumes and makeup and stuff are cool, and like it's just a fun horror movie. Like, I really enjoy it a lot. I have never seen Waxwork 2, so I'm really interested in checking that out. It looks like he also stars in that, so I find that interesting. I'm curious to see what the second one's like. Next up, some tabletop gaming stuff. I have started a new channel, so if you want to check that out, I'm getting back into tabletop gaming and the hobby side of it a little bit more. I have some space set up for it now, so I still have promised a painting video. It is ostensibly about painting, but so far I've mostly been assembling a lot of miniatures, not the least of which are these. I picked these up pretty recently. This is Blood Tribes Furians from Raging Heroes, and I mentioned on that channel that they don't have very good like gender representation in their line of miniatures. I should say Games Workshop doesn't, right? Raging Heroes is pretty much all sort of like female looking miniatures, I think, kind of to make up for that fact, right? And a lot of them are pretty similar to miniatures that you'll find for like lines of minis in Games Workshop. So my intention is to paint these and slot them in to my Warcry warband. I do have a warband on the way, which is not here yet. I'm really looking forward to getting it, and it'll have data sheets where I think it'll be really easy to just swap some of these miniatures in, like female miniatures for male miniatures, and just get a little more diversity in my warband, which I think will be a lot of fun. And I just think these look really cool. I think they'll be fun to paint. And I also got a gift from my buddy who I primarily wargame with, that is Warhammer 40,000 Fireteam. Now this seems really cool. This is probably a great way to, like I was saying on my other channel, if you want to dip a toe into tabletop game, especially something in the Warhammer universe. Fireteam in particular seems to be built as like a little standalone boxed game, right? You've got some Space Marines, you've got some Necrons, and it seems like it's kind of like almost a simplified rules version of Kill Team, which already itself is like pretty streamlined. So I don't know if it's like extra basic or anything like that, but I have a feeling it's gonna still be really fun to play. My buddy also has a copy of this, so with the pandemic going the way it is, he had to cancel plans to come down here for the holidays. So sometimes we'll try to get together on Zoom and actually play a game if we both have the pieces and the board sections and everything, we can pretty much just get a camera on what we're doing and actually like play the games together, even though we're not physically located in the same space. So that's something that I'm really looking forward to. And these Necron Warriors were something that he basically owed me. I mentioned that we did a little bit of a trade, and it was actually cheaper and easier for him to just order this full set for me with these Necron Warriors in it than to ship them from Canada, right? That's just sort of like he ordered this online in the US and had it shipped to me. So that was, kind of just getting me these Necron Warriors, but we also have this cool game that we can play, so I really appreciate that. Thanks so much, man. Next up, we have Sgt Frog. This is anime. I don't remember exactly when this came out. I want to say like the early aughts, something like that. I don't see a copyright date on here right off, but this is just a lot of fun. I really enjoyed this. I remember us actually watching the dub of this, and I don't know if that was because it was on TV in some capacity or something like that. At any rate, it does have a really fun dub. I don't know if it covers the whole series. I don't know that we really watched, anything past the first season, so I'm not really sure, but it was a lot of fun. It's basically about these aliens that come down to Earth and they're trying to take it over, but of course, like, it's played as a comedy, right? Basically, they end up at this household of these two kids and their mother, and they basically take the aliens in. They're more or less abandoned by their alien army, I guess, and so they're stuck on Earth. As they sort of plot and scheme to take over the Earth, they're kind of like henpecked by especially the mother and the daughter, and just sort of like made to conform to the standards of like human society, while also basically being a like nerd culture show, right? Like the aliens, get really into building Gundam models and things like that. So there's a lot of really fun stuff that goes on with this. But they always keep that threat of sort of world domination or annihilation in the background, and it just makes for a lot of really great comedy. It's a super fun series. And I'll be getting the rest of those as they come out. Another gift. My buddy picked me up Sonic Colors Ultimate. I really appreciate this. This is something that came out on the Wii, I believe, and they just released this for the modern systems. I don't know what is different about the Ultimate version, if it's just that it was, kind of redone for like PlayStation 4 and I assume like Xbox One and maybe even PS5 and One X or whatever the new one is. In contrast to games that I think follow the formula of the Sonic Adventure games a little bit more, Sonic Colors is, I think, more of a 3D take on just like the fun sort of gameplay that you had in the original 2D games, not so much at like a sort of callback to those games like Sonic Mania is. It's its own like new Sonic action game, but it's really good. What I've played of this I've really enjoyed, so I'm definitely looking forward to checking that out. And I can play it on my PS4, which I don't even have my Wii hooked up, so this is a good excuse to play some more of that. So thank you so much for that. Next, I want to talk about some digital games that I've picked up. During the holidays, I got pretty enthusiastic about a sale from Just USA. And they had a previous sale. I ended up picking up, I believe, Closed Game, which is Battle Royale, sort of Hunger Games kind of setting to it. And the artwork looks really nice for it. Ultimately, it is, I guess, what they would call Nukige, which I'll let you look that up, I guess, if you don't know what that is. But at the very least, like just the premise and everything actually is really interesting. So I wanted to check that out. I also picked up Brave Soul and Critical Point, both of which seem really cool. Brave Soul, I actually had a lot of fun playing on Christmas Day, I guess. It's an RPG. It's just like kind of a really traditional, kind of classic computer RPG. Definitely like all anime style. Like the character designs are super 90s and they're really fun. And the game is just, it's fun. Like there haven't been any type of like love scenes or anything like that even in it yet. I'm just enjoying playing kind of a classic, Japanese style computer RPG. It's really fun. Critical Point looks really cool too. They had some interesting promotional text associated with it, where they're saying like, it involves some of the creative staff behind things like Macross and Bubblegum Crash and stuff like that. So I don't know, who exactly was involved, but it sounds like it's just an adventure game, right? But it seems like there may be a focus on, the writing of that. Sounds like an interesting pedigree. It was also really cheap. This sale was there were some deep discounts in it, and these are some of their older games. These, two. So when I picked those up, it was really not very expensive. I also picked up Mordheim on the PlayStation 4 digitally. My buddy and I, who play tabletop war games, we also have been playing pretty much weekly some kind of game online, just to kind of like, check in for an hour or two and like chat and see how our weeks went. Probably going to check that out either tonight or tomorrow. It looks really cool, though. It's set in, I believe, Warhammer's like original fantasy world, unless it's kind of their modern fantasy world, which is Age of Sigmar. But at the very least, it's something in their fantasy, not their science fiction universe. So that's something that seems really fun for me. I do kind of like fantasy games and their fantasy universe. I'm looking forward to checking that out. The last thing that I got here for well, I didn't really get this for myself. This was also a Christmas gift, but it was Christmas money, right, that I got very generously from my stepdad. So thank you so much for that. He's not going to be watching this, but yeah, I picked up. This is more hobby stuff, so I apologize. It's not like cool, Japanese games or something. But I got myself an airbrush. I've been meaning to do airbrushing here for a long time, and actually I technically have an airbrush. I had a compressor. It was all hand-me-downs from one of my buddies, but over the years, like, I do actually know where the airbrush is. I don't know where the compressor is. I might have gotten rid of it. I don't know if how that stuff works. I was like, you know what, let me get stuff that I want and start from scratch. I have room for it now, and we'll try it out. So I picked up this is a Reaper Vex. Reaper is a miniatures company. I like their stuff just in general. I think they're cool. And so they teamed up with Badger, I believe is the airbrush manufacturer, and they had this airbrush made specifically for them. Now, I couldn't necessarily tell you what like the specifics are about this airbrush that they may have customized or something like that. Certainly, I think it's it's styled. It says Reaper Vex on it. Woohoo! But I believe one of the main things that's nice about it is just it's just sort of a general good quality airbrush. It also comes with two needles. You have kind of a fine detail needle and then like a slightly larger needle. And just from like reviews and doing research online and everything I saw about this, people seem to be like, hey, this is one of the best, airbrushes that I've used. I saw, a video. It's probably one of the Reaper artists, but they, a bunch of figures that they painted with it, and they were all amazing. Right now, of course, the tool is not going to make your art incredible, right? If you're responsible for that as an artist, right? A good artist could probably is gonna use the worst tools out there and probably still make something better than somebody who's not artistic, right? But at the very least, I feel confident that I was getting a nice airbrush, right? So I grabbed that, and I also picked up a Badger air compressor. It's still in the box, but this is the Airstorm model 18015. There was a big bundle you could get from Reaper directly, which had probably a nicer quote-unquote compressor, but everything that I looked up about this seemed like it would probably be perfect for my needs. I'm not going to be doing this professionally, right? I'm not like an airbrush artist. I'm not going to be doing airbrushing cars or motorcycles or something and doing it for a really long time, I'm going to be, doing miniatures. And, at the most, my minis, I don't like to sit down and take more than like 3 or 4 hours to paint a mini necessarily. And I think this will be good for like kind of the occasional use that I'm going to be putting it through. And my needs, with the airbrush. So yeah, I was really happy to have picked those up, and I'm really interested in doing some painting with that finally. So yeah, take a look at my other channel. I'll have a link down in the description for that if you would like to check out any of my tabletop wargaming stuff. And that's, I guess, about it. Thank you very much for watching, joining me, and I'll be talking more about games and things like that as the year goes on. I hope that you guys had an okay 2021. It's rough out there, right? And I don't think that things are going to get better. In particular, right? In terms of climate and things like that, each year from now on out, it's just going to get worse and worse and worse until we can get off of fossil fuels and things like that. So I'll say a happy 2022, right? But we're all going to have to keep our chins up, right? And work together with your communities and your family to get through these difficult times, literally, right? So anyway, take care, guys, and I'll catch you again next time.